The greatest spiritual teachers all warned about one silent force, a force that shapes your emotions, decisions, relationships, and even your destiny. Yet you rarely see it directly. That force is the ego. The ego is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the human experience. People think it's arrogance. Some think it's confidence. Others think it's the villain inside the mind that needs to be destroyed. But the ego is none of those things. The ego is a structure, a psychological lens, a survival mechanism that formed to protect you when you were young, long before you had the awareness to question it. Today, we're going to explore the ego in a way that few people ever do, not with cliches, but through ancient wisdom, psychology, metaphysics, and practical insights. By the end of this video, you will understand what the ego actually is, how it forms, why it keeps you stuck, the traps the ego uses to stay alive, and how to rise above it without destroying yourself. Let's begin. The ego creates a sense of I, a center that moves through life collecting memories and meaning. But in creating me, it also creates not me. This division becomes the source of conflict, fear, comparison, and suffering. Most people live believing the ego is their true self. To understand the ego, you must understand how it forms. As a child, you absorb the emotions, reactions, and patterns of the people around you. When someone praised you, your ego stored that memory and said, "Keep doing that." When someone criticized you, the ego stored that too and said, "Avoid that at all costs." Slowly, your identity formed around survival instead of truth. The ego became a collection of strategies: seek approval, avoid rejection, be who others expect you to be, and hide what might cause pain. This is why the ego is reactive. It is not interested in growth. It is interested in protection. When someone challenges you, the ego defends. When someone ignores you, the ego panics. When someone outshines you, the ego compares. It is constantly measuring the world to determine whether you are winning or losing, safe or threatened. But here is the deeper truth: the ego is terrified. It knows it is not real in the ultimate sense. It knows it is constructed. So it must constantly reinforce itself through labels, achievements, conflict, and attention. That is why spiritual teachings across history, from Buddhism to Gnosticism to Hermeticism, teach that awakening begins the moment you can observe the ego instead of obeying it. You are not the voice in your head, you are the one who hears it. The ego wants to control the narrative. It wants to tell a story where you are the center, the hero, the victim, the savior, the special one, the one with something to prove. All of these storylines strengthen the sense of I, but when you truly examine them, they are just stories, narratives held together by thought, not by essence. The ego loves stories. It makes you the hero, the victim, or the special one. It does this to strengthen identity. But these are narratives held together by thought. In silence, the stories fall away, and the ego resists because silence reveals truth. The ego fears silence because silence reveals truth. In silence, there is no story. There is only awareness, presence, being, and the ego cannot survive in pure being. It can only survive in thought. That is why meditation threatens the ego. It is why stillness feels uncomfortable. The ego resists anything that dissolves the illusion of control. But the solution is not to kill the ego. A person without an ego cannot function in society. The goal is mastery, integration, to see the ego clearly, honor its role, and stop letting it run your life. When you begin observing your ego, patterns emerge. You see where it gets triggered. You see when it becomes defensive. You see when it tries to prove something. You see when it makes assumptions. You see how it manipulates your emotions. And slowly, awareness creates space. That space is freedom. As space grows, you reconnect with the deeper self, the witness consciousness that does not compete, does not fear, and does not need validation. This deeper self simply exists. It observes, It experiences, it expresses. It does not defend because it cannot be threatened. It does not compare because it sees unity, not separation. The ego works in scarcity. The deeper self works in abundance. The ego asks, "What do I get?" The deeper self asks, "What can I become?" When you begin shifting into this deeper identity, your life changes. You react less, you listen more, you feel less insecure. You chase less, you attract more. You stop forcing outcomes and start aligning with them. Relationships deepen, creativity expands. Mental clarity increases, and life becomes less of a battle and more of a flow. Mastery of the ego is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong practice. Every day you are presented with moments that reveal your ego. Someone cutting you off in traffic, someone disagreeing with you online, someone ignoring your call, someone succeeding faster than you. Each of these moments are trigger types for the ego, and each moment is an invitation to rise above the ego and return to presence. In the end, the ego is a tool, a useful one, but a dangerous master. When you are unconscious, the ego drives your life. When you become aware, you take the wheel. And then the true journey begins, the journey back to your authentic self, beyond story, beyond fear, beyond comparison, into the pure awareness that has always been watching. If you made it this far, we thank you, and for more content on spiritual growth, psychology and shadow work, like, comment, share and subscribe.